Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Tomes and Tunes. I am your host, Arielle Silver, broadcasting right from what I'm now calling the room of requirement, which is my shed in the backyard, where I've been spending a lot of time since COVID started. And this is week 22 of Tomes and Tunes, where I invite a guest songwriter in and we talk about books and we swap a song at the end. So I'm very excited to introduce to you someone who I have only met in the time of COVID, which is kind of amazing. We met online through a musician group that we're both a part of, and I have just fallen in love with her music. I am happy to welcome Jenee Halstead into the show.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi,
hello.
Ariel. How
How
are
are
you?
you? I'm
Good, how are
good.
you? Good.
So great to have you here.
Thanks. I feel so honored to be here.
Yeah, I feel honored to. I was just thinking yesterday. I've put together a playlist with music from all my guests over the past 22 weeks now, and I was just listening to that playlist over and over again yesterday. I was just like, oh my gosh, these are awesome songs. It is so cool to just connect with songwriters in a time when otherwise, especially in the beginning, I was feeling so isolated and really just wanted to hang with my songwriter peeps and talk about songs. So your songs right now are at the
Yeah.
top of the playlist. I'm super into them.
Thanks.
So Janae, would you introduce yourself to watchers and to listeners? I didn't tell
Yeah.
you that. I
My
was going to
name's
ask you
Jenee.
that.
Oh, I'm on the spot. My name's Jenee Halstead. I am a singer-songwriter, recording artist from Washington State, and I was out of Boston for 14 years. Right now, I'm kind of like in limbo land. So I'm in Washington and Spokane where I grew up now. But, hoping once all this is whatever, that I can either get back to Boston or be down in LA. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Um, what is it like being in your hometown right
It's
now during this time?
really interesting because I just swore off Spokane. I was like, Spokane is a hole in the earth. I just like when I was 17, I was like, I'm getting out of here, everyone. I'm the first one. I was like, I'm out. And then I ended up going to college and undergrad here, which is hilarious. Because I was like, I'm out. And then I got a full ride from Gonzaga. But yeah, so as soon as that was like, as soon as I was done, I was just, off to Seattle. And it's funny now because it's a super chill town. And I think considering like everything that's going on, like it's really nice to be here. It's easy. And there's some cool things kind of popping up. There's a lot of development happening, and um, a lot of the people that are my age that are like, they're just the kind of movers and shakers right now in Spokane. So it's like, it's cool to see them doing like really neat projects, cultural projects. And so,
There's something about going back to the smaller towns after you've kind of left and gone to the big city and have grown up a bit, and then you come back and I don't have direct experience with this. I should confess. I am from a lot of different places, and I don't have
yeah.
kind of that hometown exactly. Um, but in the places that I have lived over my life, I have met those kinds of people like you who have like left. They've been like, I'm out of here. And then they come back and it's like, oh, actually, there's like people are creating
Yeah,
really cool art and, are able to,
for
just live
sure.
without the hecticness of a city.
Yeah. I feel like now you can kind of be anywhere, you know? I mean, I
Yeah.
think the networking, is super important. And I think LA and New York and even places like Boston are really important for that, and Nashville. But right now, it's like, what am I going to do? Go there and just be in my bedroom,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Um,
Oh.
so you and I kind of were like two ships passing in the night. I left Boston in '06 and you arrived in
Yeah.
Boston in '06. And it took until this year, 2020, for us to actually cross paths, which is really,
What day did you leave? Do you know?
oh gosh, I left, I had released my second album about a year and a half before and was about to release my third album. And I went on tour. Um, I had been touring in the Northeast and in New England in the Mid-Atlantic area for a long time, and had a trio, and we
Oh,
set out on tour to play across the United States, and so in support of the album that was coming out. So we left, I don't remember the day. I think we left around April, and then we made our way back to Boston for the official album release party at the Lizard Lounge down on
nice.
Mass Ave
Yeah.
between Harvard and
Having.
Puerta.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was listening to a very funny interview. Well, it was a fantastic interview with one of my favorite Boston songwriters, Lori McKenna.
Yeah. She's amazing.
She's amazing. And I was listening to an interview with her on a podcast. Or was it? It must have been yesterday. And she was talking about her Boston accent and how when she started performing as a singer, she had to learn how to enunciate her R's.
Wow.
And
That's interesting.
and her husband, who's a plumber who works for the gas company, he has no reason to have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
enunciate his R's
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
who does, right?
Yeah.
And so it was very funny because she actually imitated him, and like, it was so awesome to hear Lori McKenna imitating her husband, but in a way that's sort of like imitating the way that she naturally talks, and
Right.
that Boston accent.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Um, there was a movie that came out a long time ago called "But I'm a Cheerleader,"
Hmm.
and RuPaul was uh, one of the stars of the movie, and RuPaul's character was a counselor for a gay conversion camp to convert people. It was like a Christian camp to convert people, the so-called conversion
Mm-hmm.
camps, trying to like, you
Yeah.
know. But it was very campy movie, as you can imagine, with RuPaul. And I remember one piece of that movie, which is that some of the attendees of the camp were supposed to talk about what was their root of what made them gay was kind of the exercise they were doing in this
Mm-hmm.
camp at the time. But I think about that idea, like what is the root of what makes us whatever it is we are? And I'm
Mm.
curious about you. What is your root for songwriting? Can you trace it back, the seed that planted for you?
I mean, I think it was growing up in a home where music was so revered and worshipped, and I was listening to songwriters, when I was as young, in diapers, listening to Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell, and like music was constantly on. And I feel so grateful that I grew up with parents who just really worshiped musicians, and music was life in my home. And I think my mom said today, she's like, you would sing like nonstop. You sang before you talked, even. And I think that just like all sort of came together as this perfect germination for me, loving music, loving to sing, and then worshiping these people that were telling stories through music. So
Yeah, stories through music, totally.
yeah.
Yeah. What was the first live music experience that you had?
My dad took me to so many concerts. I was so lucky. I think about it. I was trying to remember this the other day. I didn't know if it was the Black Crowes or Santana, but I was like probably like 11, 12. I know maybe they took me to things younger than that, but I know like they wanted me to appreciate it. And they didn't really have a lot of money when we were younger. So to go, my dad took us, we had front row tickets to the Black Crowes. And it was like, and I was like, like 11, I'm like trying to, like flirting with, like, dang, girl. Trying to flirt with like the guitarist, Matt, I think it's Matt Robinson or whatever. It's like hilarious.
Do you remember what you were wearing to that concert?
Mm, I don't.
Okay.
Do
I'm just
you?
picturing the. Oh, my first
Your
live
first
music
concert?
experiences were. I went to. My parents used to take me to the Waterloo Folk Festival when I was
Cool.
when I was young and living in New Jersey, Waterloo.
Mm,
Waterloo was nearby, and they had this annual folk festival. And Peter, Paul, and Mary, Tom Paxton, Pete Seeger, Arlo
nice.
Guthrie, all of those people.
Nice.
But I would trace back my route to two things. One is that my dad played a lot of acoustic guitar and sang a lot of songs when I was little. He doesn't anymore. But my favorite times were when we would just light the fireplace and sit around, and it was me and him, and we'd just sing. And I recently was thinking about this, where you might have been singing before you could talk. For me, I think I was asking questions before anything, and I'm pretty sure that that my family was just, maybe at their wits end about, getting me to stop asking
They're like,
questions.
put a guitar in her
Oh,
hand.
yeah, or like my dad was like, well, if she's singing, then she
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
ask
Yeah.
questions, so let's get her singing. Um,
That's
so
hilarious.
that was one route, and the other was this woman, Elaine Silver. She was not performing on the main stage at Waterloo Music Festival, but she was, the first time we saw her, she was, from what I remember, barefoot and standing on a patch of dirt near the
Mm,
entrance to the folk festival, and basically busking and just playing for people who are showing up at the festival.
I love it.
And we became friends with her. My parents were, um, I mean, I was young, and I looked at her and I thought that she was all grown up, but
Oh, totally.
she was probably in her 20s,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so my parents hired her to come play for one of my birthday parties, and I think that was the seed
That
for
was
me, the
it.
root. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to think back to that
Those
time,
are
though.
great stories.
Yeah, totally. So, Black Crows for you, Santana,
Rock and
maybe.
roll.
Who is your favorite person to see play live now?
I haven't been to a live show, and I mean,
None of us
I
have,
don't
right?
know. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Okay, who would
weird.
you really like to see when things open up again?
Um, hmm, Good question. I want to see Drake. I'm like so obsessed with Drake. It's ridiculous. I like listen to Drake every day.
That's amazing.
And I guess he puts on like an amazing live show. So I think I would want, I mean, it's not really bands, it's just him kind of like on stage, I think, doing his thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That or
I
Stevie Wonder.
totally. Gosh, it's really, I asked you the question, but I haven't even contemplated it myself. I don't know. I don't know. Have to give it some thought. Um, for you, were you performing a lot before COVID shut us all down?
Um, Not as much as I would like to have been. I was just kind of getting this new album going and like recording and that kind of stuff. And I had done one show, I did like a single release show in January
Yeah.
and was like super pumped. I was like, May, I was going to do the release and then, the album release. And then like, uh, it was just like, this is not a good time. It's not a good time to release anything. We got to, push everything. And then, yeah, it's just been, and then Black Lives Matter. And that was like, of course, like, I'm not going to take up space, and put something out when I really felt like that space needed to be held for that platform, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then it just, it's like, and then we kind of pushed it one more time. And so this feels right, January. So,
So January, the album is coming out. What is the
hmm
name of the album?
Disposable Love.
Okay.
Yeah.
And moving backwards in time, the album Disposable Love comes out in January, but you put out an EP. What's the
Yeah.
name of that EP?
Solitary People.
Okay. And that
Yeah.
came out when?
Ah, September, to look, like September 22nd or something.
So it just came
There's
out.
some September 13th. Yeah.
Just came out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the two singles that came out from that are Solitary People and uh, I'll Be Your Man.
I'll be your man. And then I'm releasing a single next Thursday called Heartlight. So, yay.
I'm excited for your new album in January. I didn't realize
Thanks.
that you had an album coming out soon, and all yesterday I was listening to your music, and it was that feeling that you get sometimes where you're like, oh, I want to hear more music from this
Mm,
person.
mm,
So I'm super excited about that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
super excited.
and will you tour in January in support of that album, or
I don't know
how,
how
as
that's gonna
musicians, like, how do
go.
we navigate this, right? Like, how do you navigate putting out a new album?
Are you there?
I am there.
Is
Yeah.
that
Have you
me or
frozen?
yeah?
I
Was
think it
that
might
me?
be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It didn't happen on my end, but it's
Okay.
technology. Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go. I think we're looking at doing maybe a Zoom
Yeah.
room thing,
Yeah.
and then, I would love to do some sort of like virtual band something, but I think, I would have to wait and make sure all my band members are comfortable with that. And
Yeah.
a lot of the people I play with are playing out now in Boston, so it might be something
Huh.
where I can go back and like we can do something at one of the studios in
Yeah.
Boston and just maybe air it, but or maybe do a summer show next summer. But
Yeah.
I don't really think there's going to be a lot of live performance next winter. I think I'm going to do
Yeah.
what you're doing and get StreamYard, and
I gotta say, I'm loving StreamYard.
I've
It's
heard good
been,
things.
it's not, nothing is perfect, but
Yeah.
it's been a great way to, like, just connect with other songwriters, or just connect. I
Yeah.
do my Friday night weekly live stream show as well, and
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have an important question to ask you.
Yeah.
Have you been reading anything lately? What have you been reading?
I am always reading. I'm like a weird reader. I usually have like 5 books and I'll like whatever I feel like picking up for the night. So I'm reading this book called The Pleiadian Agenda, and it's by Barbara Handclough. And it's really out there.
Tell us a little about it.
It's called A New Cosmology for the Age of Light, and it's really for like astrology buffs or anybody who's into what's kind of called the new Earth shift, or us going into 5D consciousness. And some people will just be like, "What are you talking about right now?" But it's sort of the history. It's interesting because it talks a lot about the Mayan timekeepers and the cosmological place that we are in the universe, and how we're connected to actually the stars of Sirius, and what we're doing. Like we've entered what's called the photon belt. And so as we enter into this, like as the whole solar system's moving into this photon belt, we are our consciousness, we're raising in consciousness. And so yeah, it just kind of talks about where we're aligned with these different stars in the galaxy and how that affects us and our relationship. And it goes into how we're affected in relationship with other beings, and other beings in the universe. And so it's really a trip. This book's
Huh.
amazing. I'm gobbling it up.
So you have a passage from it to share with us today.
I do, and I think I'm trying to like find passages that are actually not too triggering, because it's so pithy and full of like a lot of backstory. So I just picked a passage, and then I realized maybe it's not the right passage, but I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here because it's maybe I'll pick. Sorry, I thought I had found it, but okay. I'm gonna read this about the moon. Oh, I think I'm gonna read this thing about the manifestation of desire. This is cool. I'm gonna read these manifestation techniques. Does that work?
Do it.
It'll be my passage. So this at this point, this chapter is called "The Story of the Goddess Alchemy," and the person who wrote this book is channeling the moon. So in this book, all planetary bodies are beings, and they have consciousness. And so she's channeling the moon, and the moon is kind of talking to us about the divine feminine and feminine archetype and how that's coming back on the planet to heal the planet. And so this is from the moon, and it's how to manifest the physical reality you desire. And this is a lunar manifestation technique. So 1, you make a list of 7 things you want in your reality. If you want this to work, be reasonable. Go for what you really want, not what you think you want. 2, take your list and work with each thing on it. Take the first thing on your list, such as a radio, and say out loud to yourself, I want a certain radio for a certain amount of money with a certain amount of time. Describe the radio, the amount, and the time frame, and do not give a thought to how you will get it. Never think of a specific person or group who will get something for you, because that would be manipulating others. 3, ask yourself if you would really want the radio if you had it. Think deeply about this, because you clutter your mind with things you think you want but actually don't. Be careful with this. If you don't really want something, just let it go. 4, create 3 scenes of the radio coming into your reality. Visualize the scenes in front of your forehead, above your eyes, and then take each scene and imprint it on the medulla oblongata, the place where your spine enters your skull. Remember, don't visualize a specific person or place helping you get what you want. Do not manipulate the reality of others. 5, repeat this process until you have created a list of 7 things you really want. Then forget about it and put the list in a safe place. Check it periodically, and soon you will begin to notice the things on the list actually manifest. Every time something does manifest, cross it off and think of something else you want and add it to the list. So you keep the list of 7 going.
And have you done this? Do you have?
I have done this. I have my list of 7, and it was actually really hard because what I think this part is not the moon. I think this part is her kind of channeling this other being, actually. But what she says is, then when you get what you really want, when you want it, you end up wanting very little, like indigenous Earth people. So for me, I always want so much. And then when I actually went to write it, it was really hard. Because I was like, I don't know how much I really want. You're like, which is kind of beautiful. Because you're like, do I really, really, really want that? Enough to manifest it into my life,
The 7 things that you came up with, are they all material things like radio?
No. So like one of the things, I'll just put this out there in the universe. So one of the things I wanted was, I want a weekly voice and piano teacher. And so, but for a certain price, that was one of the things. And I think there's a few things around like my kind of like growing and becoming more of who I am too, really just becoming more in alignment with who I am as a soul. So I think that was part of the list. And then there's a few other I think there's a van in there. I'm like all about #van life.
Really?
Yeah, I just want to do that so bad.
Have you done it?
My best friend has a van, and that's when I got the bug. We drove up right like in June. We were like escaping the captivity, and we drove from San Diego, up to Seattle for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it was so fun.
Did you camp?
We stayed in the van. Yeah. Yeah, we camped in the van, and besides LA, we couldn't find anything in LA. LA was a nightmare. We found this little slip of land outside of Malibu, but literally it was like California was really like LA. Once Northern California hit, we were fine, but it was really hard to find anything there.
Like
Just
places to just park and stay for the night.
everything was closed. Everything was, all the parks
Yeah,
shut down,
yeah.
parking
Everything was shut down.
lots.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. I lived in a van more or
Oh,
less, when I was touring the country for at
yep.
least around 6 months, and
Yeah.
yeah, interesting living.
You're
I
like,
don't know.
no, no, not, no, never want to do it.
That was a long time ago, though. Who
Yeah.
knows? Our van ran on vegetable oil, and we had
Wow.
the engine converted to run on vegetable oil, recycled vegetable oil. And the West Coast was interesting in that respect for us. We were easily able to fuel our tank with recycled vegetable oil or vegetable oil for us to recycle and to filter ourselves. No problem until we got to California, surprisingly. And then when we hit the West Coast, even up into, we went as far north as Ashland, Oregon, and we had trouble the whole West Coast. It was just very highly regulated, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess gasoline is taxed to pay for the roads, and so
Mm.
they don't want you to fuel your car basically in another way that wouldn't be part of the
Interesting.
tax system. So yeah, so that was
Mm.
interesting.
Mm.
um, I am reading. Oh, first of all, I hope you get your piano and vocal
Thank
teacher
you.
in the way that
Thank
you
you.
want.
Thank you.
I totally see that. And you also teach vocals, don't you? You
I
are a
do.
voice
I teach
teacher.
voice and I teach, yeah, guitar, and I teach piano, but kind of just beginner's piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I need it. Everybody needs a teacher. Teachers need teachers,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we could talk a long time about that.
Hmm.
All right, but I'm holding your vision
Thank
in
you.
my eye. I'm going to share. I shared an excerpt from this book last week too. I'm reading The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I've
Oh,
been on a
cool.
Toni Morrison
I
kick.
love Toni Morrison.
Yeah, she hits it, that spot that it her words are insightful, um, eye-opening, and so satisfying to read.
Mm,
Like
mm,
the poetry of her words, just like all of the corners that it's hard for me to, even though this book is quite slim. Um, I want to just dog ear every page, and I tend to read and reread and reread passages when I particularly like them. So it's taken a little while. I also am reading like a few other books like you, I think, at the same time. So, but I'm just going to read a really short passage from here. And it doesn't even matter the context. I just, can just, with her writing, a lot of times you can
mm,
just drop right in and
mm-hmm.
enjoy the language and the
The rhythm of it.
yeah, and the ideas that are presented, even
Mm,
if it doesn't have a bigger context. So,
mm,
um, they go to land grant colleges, normal schools, and learn how to do the white man's work with refinement. Home economics to prepare his food, teacher education to instruct black children in obedience, music to soothe the weary master and entertain his blunted soul. Here they learn the rest of the lesson begun in those soft houses with porch swings and pots of bleeding heart, how to behave. The careful development of thrift, patience, high morals, and good manners. In short, how to get rid of the funkiness, the dreadful funkiness of passion, the funkiness of nature, the funkiness of the wide range of human emotions. Wherever it erupts, this funk, they wipe it away. Where it crusts, they dissolve it. Where it drips, flowers, or clings, they find it and fight it until it dies. They fight this battle all the way to the grave. The laugh that is a little too loud, the enunciation a little too round, the gesture a little too generous. They hold their behind in for fear of a sway too free. When they wear lipstick, they never cover the entire mouth for fear of lips too thick. and they worry about the edges of their hair. So I'll just leave it at that.
Beautiful.
She's so specific in her details, painting scenes, giving us a setting and character, while talking about much bigger things.
She goes into entire epigenetic history.
Yeah.
In this like beautiful detail that like puts you right there.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been on Toni Morrison kick this summer. Actually, I'm still calling it summer because here in Los Angeles it feels like summer. We're probably like in the 90s right now. But I know that many places, Boston, maybe up in your neck of the woods. Is it autumn where you are? Or
it is. It's supposed to be 80. Yeah, it's supposed to be 80 tomorrow. But yeah, it's autumn. The trees are changing, and we're picking pumpkins. We got pumpkins on the front porch, and
the grocery stores have pumpkins here, but I just want watermelon. It's like summertime for me still. So drinking my iced tea.
Me too.
My watermelon.
Me too. Oh,
yeah.
Love watermelon.
So Jenee, would you be so kind as to play some music for us?
I would be honored.
And tell us.
Let's see. I'm going to do this down here.
Yeah. What are you going to play for us?
I think I'll play "I'll Be Your Man." Did it freeze?
Nope.
Okay. Am I going to play this with the pick? Does it sound, can you hear it? I know the way you move in the light. I know the sound of your breath at night. Though we're apart, you know where I stand. When he can't be with you, I'll be your man. I know the words that make you sigh. I know the spark behind your eyes. I know just where you like my hands. When he can't be with you, I'll be your man. The sigh of your melody, the warmth of your breath on me, your hips beneath my hands. Visions keep haunting me, slip past my memory. Your wish is my command. You know that I could hold anything. My love for you is unwavering. It might take forever. You know where I stand. When he's long forgotten, I'll be your man. The sigh of your melody, the warmth of your breath on me, your hips beneath my hands. Visions keep haunting me, slip past my memory. Your wish is my command. You know that I could hold anything. My love for you is unwavering. It might take forever. You know where I stand. When he's long forgotten, I'll be your man. When he's long forgotten, I'll be your man. when he's long forgotten, I'll be your man. Thank you.
Yes, I agree that with that comment from
Eric.
Eric.
Hi,
Yeah,
Eric.
it's really fun to hear that just solo. So good. So where did that
Thank
song come
you.
from?
Yeah, it's interesting. My producer, Dave Brophy, he had the chorus in like the first verse or first two verses maybe, and we were just looking for something to kind of meld the album together because I brought a lot of different sort of styles of songwriting, and we were looking, yeah, and so he was like, I have this sort of like cowboy. It was more of like a cowboy, like old cowboy sort of sounding song. Um, that I started, and I think it'd be really interesting if you sang it like from a woman's perspective. It was really cool because it was like, ooh, when we went to finish it, it was like I was like, is this like a voyeur? Who is this? Like, what is this about? And yeah, I think just like adding the bridge and just making it kind of an open-ended, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. It's really compelling. Um, yeah, and you know what? It's so interesting too when I hear you sing it. I think if I had written that song, I would have taken it too fast. And you
Mm.
just really dig into it and just sit there and let it kind of like melt like chocolate in the sun.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
notoriously a bad, like, over tempo, play too fast, everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's like, one of the gifts of like working with a producer is just like someone who's really like, I mean, Dave's a drummer. I love working with producers that are bassists or drummers. And then just really for me, like, getting it, I had to kind of get it in my nervous system to just be like, slow down.
Hmm.
And that takes time, as a songwriter. I know you know that. It's just like takes time to like get the inner tempo of like,
For sure.
not
Yeah, totally.
rushing.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's a great song. And for anybody listening and watching, if you haven't heard the recorded version, definitely find this song on whatever your favorite platform is. I think it's everywhere, right, Jenee?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a sexy video on YouTube.
There is a sexy video on YouTube. It's
I'm
great.
courting. I'm
Yeah.
essentially courting myself. I kind of look at this song. I like this song because I feel like it's sort of like, for me, it's the internal masculine and feminine, and
Hmm.
really like kind of marrying that like vision. So
It's beautifully shot too.
thank you. That's, yeah,
Yeah.
Armin, my friend Armin. He's amazing.
Um, I think I'll close off the show with this song. So I have also been venturing down this road of releasing music during this time.
Oh,
And my new album
great.
came out on June 26th this past summer. Um, and
What's it called?
the album is called A Thousand Tiny Torches.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I knew that.
Yeah. Um, and this is actually the first song that I wrote. Of the songs that are on the album, this is the one that came out first, and I did not plan on making an album when I wrote this song, but just kind of kicked off took on a whole life. So let's see here.
Is this your fourth album or fifth?
Yeah, this is my fourth album.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these albums have a lot of time in between. The first album came out in '99, and this one came out this summer. So
Awesome.
21 years
Kudos to
between them.
you.
Thank you. We were talking before that we kicked off the show before we went live. It's being an artist in this world, being a musician. I think that everyone takes their own path and has different levels of support or lack thereof,
Yep.
or whatever. There are a lot of narratives, but I think
Yep.
also compounding all of those narratives about what it means to be an artist or a creative person. There's also the other narratives about what it means to be a woman in this world, and particularly a woman who is, I mean, I think that songwriters are visionaries. We have, or
Absolutely.
artists of any kind are visionaries in that we have a vision for something that doesn't exist. The song doesn't exist in the world. The album doesn't exist, the painting, the dance, whatever it might be. And to not just allow that vision to kind of live and die within us, but to actually bring it to manifest it, bring it to fruition, bring it into the world so that it actually exists, so that other people can see it and talk about it and hear it. I think that being a woman artist, I don't know, I think that there are a lot of narratives that we kind of have to figure out, figure our way through.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of hurdles that people don't realize.
Yeah, for myself, for sure. I had to sort of enact some, different storylines in my life first before I could get to this most recent album.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. One day we're gonna sit down and have a cup of tea and talk about
Absolutely,
it. Absolutely,
right? Can't wait.
So this song, I guess the song is actually about that. It's really funny, but the song is actually about that exact thing. So let me do this. Can you hear the guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were the woman that you wanted to be, you'd be knee-deep in dirt, combing layers of earth. You'll be digging down through the centuries, making stories out of broken pottery. But you settled down and married young. Now you're looking in the mirror at the woman you've become. What do you do with someone else's dream? Someone else's life? Someone's heart? Back in someone else's dream. If you were the woman that you wanted to be, you'll be skidding out the lane before the screen door hits the frame. You'll be steering straight to lands you never knew, buried temples and gods shaking off your facade. But what kind of woman breaks a decent home? And how do you know if you can make it on your own? And what do you do with someone else's dream? Or someone else's life? Or someone's heart? And what can you say when you are caught between who you are and who you thought you'd be? Why do you shout for pieces of yourself under the rug? And what do you do with someone else's dream? Or someone else's life? Or someone's heart? And what can you say when you are caught between who you are and who you thought you would be? Back in someone else's dream. someone else's dream. Back in someone else's dream.
Woo! Your voice is so like amazing, multidimensional, and like, oh, so beautiful.
Thank you. You know, coming through like technology like this, you like who knows what other multi dimensions were
Mm.
added are added to anything that we're doing here, right? Um,
No, you
Thank
you
you so
have
much,
it.
though.
I can. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jenee, it's been so nice to talk with you.
You
Thank you for
too.
joining me here in
Thank
on
you.
Tomes and Tunes, and I'm so looking forward to your album. That's the
Thank
best news
you.
I've heard all day is that you have an
Oh,
album coming out in
thank you
January.
so
So
much.
yeah. Um, do you have any live stream shows that you have on the horizon where anybody can see you performing?
I don't have anything scheduled yet.
Okay.
That is coming up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a little bit like wary of the whole like streaming stuff, but I think I'm gonna start doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
nothing on the horizon right now. So,
Well, I would say that people should go to your website and sign up on your mailing list so that
thank
they
you.
can hear about that, right?
Yes, I would love
And it's
that.
just yourname.com, is that right?
Yeah, it's Jenee, Jenee Halstead, Halstead.com.
Perfect. And I put it in the show notes as well, so
Thank
people will be able
you.
to find you. Everybody,
Thank
please watch our
you.
videos. Go listen to our music.
Thank
Also, I
you.
have put together a Tomes and Tunes playlist, and I'll just put that. I think I put it in the show notes actually, but Tomes, and you can hear her music and other guests from the show. Um, and Jenee, I will say goodbye to you right here, and I'll see you in the green room to say really goodbye.
Thank
Um,
you. Thanks,
yeah,
Arielle.
and then hello everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in this time, whether you're watching it live or in the replay, and to let you know that Amelia Spicer is my guest next week for episode 23. Very excited about that. Until we meet again, please be safe. Make sure that you are registered to vote, and just be kind. Shower the people that you love with love. I will see you next time. Take care.